Well, hi everybody, I'm Bill Whittle, and this is Afterburner. Well, by now some of you may know that I was a child of the space age. I was an Apollo kid, one of those lost future optimists that believed and still believes that anything was possible for a nation that worked hard and knew how to dream. Now, before I came to PJTV, I had a blog called Eject, 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 and one of my first essays was called Courage. I wrote it a few hours after hearing of the Columbia disaster. Now, a few days later, I got an email from some people I'd never met and a company I'd never heard of, Xcore Aerospace up in Mojave, California. They asked me if I wanted to come up and watch them do some test runs of their latest rocket engine. I was in the car and on my way before I'd finished reading the email. And during the intervening years, we've stayed close. They invited me to their flight line to watch Burt Rutan and Scaled Composites put a private citizen into outer space. They had me up to view mock-ups of their suborbital passenger ship, the Lynx, and I've been up there a few times to do stories on them and the private space sector, which I maintain is the last best hope of the last best hope. And then, a few weeks ago, they invited me up for one of the great thrills of a lifetime to this space nerd anyway. They actually let me wear an honest-to-God spacesuit. I was radiant with pure boyhood dream joy. But the next day, I found out that there won't be any more trips to the Mojave for me. No more rocket tests, no more suit fittings, no more watching a spaceship take form, none of that. Damn it. Well, that's the way it goes, I guess. Sometimes people just go out of business. Not Xcore, they're doing great. They had 8 people when I met them, now they've got 45 and they can't hire them fast enough. No, what's going out of business is the state of California. Xcore, very sensibly, in my opinion, is just one of hundreds of companies that were founded in the Golden State back when it represented the future. You know, technology, engineering, imagination, guts, and initiative. Well, there's a new word now for that old school vision of California, and that word is Texas. Xcore is moving to Midland, Texas. Why? Well, first of all of their employees instantly get a 9% raise all across the board. California's income tax rate is 9.3%. That's in addition, of course, to your federal income tax. I just used the Texas income tax calculator online. I entered a salary of $100,000, which multiplied by the Texas tax rate of 0% comes out to owing nothing. So in round numbers, everyone on the staff gets to keep another 5 to 10 grand a year. And then, of course, there's the tax on the company itself, but that's not even it. Xcore's rocket engines are designed to be not only safe to run, but safe to fuel. Nothing exotic, just liquid oxygen and alcohol. When a new design needed to use kerosene, we're talking garden variety kerosene. The proposed new California EPA regulations say they will need to log every gallon of it. Paperwork will have to be filled out for every drop of kerosene. Now, you multiply this one simple regulatory burden by a few 100,000, and you can see why California is going out of business. Now, the instant that Xcore made the move public, Texas Governor Rick Perry made an appearance at the press conference. He got into the Lynx mock-up and made a very big deal about how the transfer of Xcore from Mojave, California to Midland, Texas represented just another feather in the cap of the most business-friendly state in the Union. And that cap is starting to look like an Indian chief headdress. You know how many times Arnold Schwarzenegger or Jerry Brown came to visit Xcore? Now, here's the kicker. Midland, Texas wrote a check to the tune of $10 million to bring Xcore to Texas. Yes, the little town of Midland, Texas has more business sense than all of the political brains of the most populous state in the Union. They had the common sense to realize that bringing an entire industry, namely private space tourism, to their out-of-the-way town will not just bring in Xcore and its customers, but an entire industry to a place with an FAA spaceport license. Not to mention all of the support companies and fast food stores and gas stations and dry cleaners and all the rest. Now, that's 10 mil out of the Midland Treasury. In exchange for those $10 million, Midland, Texas will have a foothold in one of this young century's key technologies. It will help anchor and stabilize the boom and bust oil economy of the region, and it will turn sleepy Midland Airport into one of the few actual spaceports in all the world. All of the suborbital tourist industry will flock there, and another California company, SpaceX, down in Hawthorne, already has a foothold in Texas, so we all know it's just a matter of time for them too. But we Californians can take comfort knowing that while 21st century tech companies are fleeing in droves, the 9.3% of our incomes each year is buying us all some fantastic 19th century technology. California is buying a train set. Yes, high-speed rail is coming to the Golden State. I should say, coming back to the Golden State. California only happened because of the railroad, and when the economic model for rail travel between LA and San Francisco vanished in the wake of highways and especially jet travel, the passenger railroad market went away. But what's a market when it comes to politics? So this most bankrupt state in the most bankrupt country in the world is going to spend $100 billion to buy something no one wants and no one will use. We're not even going to get the railroad, by the way. After they spend $200 or $300 billion, the project will be canceled, unfinished, and the money will have gone to the same place that the stimulus money went, into the pockets of somebody. So in other words, California is spending 10,000 times the amount of money that Midland, Texas spent to get X-Corp in order to lose X-Corp. That's just as one example, of course. Now, as Glenn Reynolds, the Instapundit, likes to say, that which cannot continue won't continue. California does indeed tumble into the sea. It's a sea of red ink and cronyism and rank incompetence. And the rest of the country, as before, is following California's lead. And every business in the country and every state in this union has the same choice to make. Who do you want to be when you grow up? Texas or California?